Poutine is the art of balancing three simple ingredients into a dish that defines a national identity. It is a humble, messy, and deeply comforting creation that transformed from a rural Quebec snack into a global culinary phenomenon. To understand poutine, you have to look past the fast food imitations and into the heart of the Canadian casse-croûte, or roadside snack bar, where it all began in the late 1950s. The origin story is a point of fierce regional pride. Several small towns in rural Quebec claim to be the birthplace of this dish, and while the exact inventor remains a subject of friendly debate, the context is clear. It was born out of necessity and the availability of local ingredients. In the dairy-rich regions of Quebec, fresh cheese curds were a staple. When you combine those curds with the golden standard of comfort food, crispy, hot French fries, and douse them in a savory brown gravy, you create a chemical reaction that is greater than the sum of its parts. The magic of authentic poutine relies entirely on the integrity of the cheese. We are talking about fresh cheese curds, which are essentially young cheddar that has not been pressed or aged. If you have ever bitten into a fresh curd, you know the signature experience, the squeak. That high-pitched sound is caused by the elastic protein strands in the cheese rubbing against your teeth. It is the hallmark of freshness. If the curd does not squeak, it is not fresh, and if it is not fresh, it is not a true poutine. Then, there is the gravy. This is not a thick, flour-heavy Thanksgiving sauce. The traditional Quebecois gravy is a thinner, lighter concoction, usually based on chicken or veal stock. Its job is not to drown the dish, but to provide a warm, savory bridge between the fries and the cheese. When poured correctly, the heat of the gravy softens the fries just enough to make them tender while warming the curds to a state of perfect, gooey elasticity. The goal is to reach that precise moment where the cheese is warm and pliable, but not fully melted into a pool of liquid fat. It is a delicate temperature dance that separates a master of the craft from a novice. As the dish moved from the rural snack bars of the 50s into the urban centers of Montreal and beyond, it began to evolve. While the purists will always argue that the classic trio is the only way to go, the versatility of poutine has allowed it to become a canvas for culinary creativity. You will find versions topped with smoked meat, caramelized onions, green peas, or even lobster in coastal regions. These variations are fun, but they also highlight why the original remains so powerful. Poutine is essentially a blank slate of textures, the crunch of the fry, the chew of the curd, and the silkiness of the gravy. The cultural impact of this dish cannot be overstated. By the time the word poutine was officially added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary in 2014, it had already transcended its status as a regional snack. It became a symbol of Canadian identity, a dish that represents the warmth of a cold climate and the resourcefulness of a culture that knows how to turn simple ingredients into a celebration. It is the food you eat after a long day, the fuel for late-night conversations, and the ultimate comfort when the winter wind is howling outside. Today, you can find poutine in high-end bistros in Paris and street-side stalls in Tokyo, but it always carries the spirit of Quebec with it. It is a reminder that the most iconic dishes in the world rarely come from white tablecloth kitchens. They come from the roadside, the home kitchen, and the places where people gather to share a meal that is honest, unpretentious, and deeply satisfying. When you sit down with a bowl of poutine, you are participating in a tradition that values the quality of the curd and the temperature of the gravy above all else. It is a dish that demands to be eaten while it is hot, while the textures are still distinct, and while the squeak is still audible. It is a simple pleasure, but in that simplicity, it captures something profound about the joy of eating. Whether you are a purist who sticks to th.